Good morning, everybody. Welcome along to Sunrise Daily today. I'm Chamberlain. So
another beautiful Friday morning is upon us. I'm Kayode Okikelu.
Didn't talk about the weather part of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very rainy one in Lagos. Good morning and welcome.
You know, the rain woke up early, really, did its job and went back to sleep. Now you have to.
Yeah.
And you know, that's one of the reasons airline operators say flights are delayed, right? Because of bad weather. And I mean, you may have caught the statement by the Minister of Aviation saying that, well, on the one hand, I think the biggest one for me, because he had a very long interaction with the media at the State House yesterday. But you know, one of the highlights for a lot of people, maybe for me, I don't want to speak for a lot of people, is the fact that if flights are delayed beyond 2 hours, you should demand full refund. If it's delayed for beyond an hour, there should be refreshments. The airline should give you some information, either a call, or SMS, or email, apologizing, not just saying the flight will be delayed or the flight has been delayed. You know, you get some messages after the flight is delayed saying your flight will be delayed, and you're like, well, I'm already in this reality. Why didn't you send this beforehand? But you know, that major part about ensuring that customers' rights are enforced was one of the things that the minister really spoke about. Now, there's another side to that story, really, because airline operators have also spoken about the challenges they face. Can you imagine that there's issues with parking space?
Well, in all the times that you're on that flight, have you ever heard them say that to you? Or apologize for the delay of the flight? It was due to lack of parking space.
You know what makes it? I know you're still going to add a word or two, and I know you're still going to talk about the passenger bill of rights. Because I mean that comes on quite often. But the question for me here is, how many people even know their rights about these things? That's the first thing about this whole thing. Well, the airline operators will definitely have their challenges. Every business in Nigeria has their challenges, peculiar challenges in the peculiar industries that they find themselves. The only challenge that I'm seeing here is the communication of it. If you booked the flight yourself, you could get the text that the aviation minister is talking about. But if you had to speak to a travel agency that booked the flight for you, how are you going to get that information?
Sure, they'll pass it to you. They should pass it to you.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's meant to be whose number should be used or whose email address should be used.
Guys, we know how these things work. So let's not.
I think that's maybe one in maybe 10 or 20.
Even at that, okay. We know that there is an announcement at some of our airports that says, okay, if these things happen, these are the things that you do and all of that.
We want to talk about those announcements. Are you barely here?
Well, I just wonder why you went there.
Because there is a roll-up, what's that thing now? A roll-up banner right there that says, okay, these are the things. If your flight is delayed and all of that, if you have complaints at the airport, concerning your flights and all of that.
You ever tried those numbers?
These are the things that you're supposed to do. I thought there was supposed to be a desk. Why should I have to spend my money again to make a call? So even if you made that call, for God's sake, has anyone ever had a response to it? Now, all over time that these things not happening for the first time. And for God's sake, look at the figures yesterday. More than half of the flights until, I think it was only in the first quarter of the year, more than half, 14,000 flights, more than 7,000 flights were delayed. More than half. So, I mean, this is the third quarter of the year. And what has happened such that, I mean, it has taken this long for us to have this kind of review. I am very, very sure that it's not only ordinary Nigerians that have been affected. Aviation ministry officials have also been affected. Possibly even the minister himself may have been affected one way or another. I mean, we also remember that time when governors were supposed to take a trip to the north and they couldn't make the flight for one reason or the other. Well, it could be the weather, maybe it rained or something, fine, but it's not happening for the first time. It didn't begin in 2021. Well, maybe 2020 because of the, COVID and all of that. So it's not something that is new to us. What have we done to stave it off? And what are we going to do to ensure that this doesn't happen again? We know the aviation industry is having their challenges, and we know that people have had to pay extra for one thing or the other. The question is, how do we ensure this does not become our norm?
Well, I guess let's listen to the minister in that briefing, because everybody wants to see things work. And as much as the airline operators complain about lack of parking space, rising cost of aviation fuel.
Delayed due to VIP, which the
You know.
minister is one of them, by the way.
So not just him being affected, it's him affecting others as well, because that part is a very serious component of this entire thing. I mean, you'll hear that flights had to divert to neighboring countries, hover around, and then before they eventually come back here. So it's a lot. But pointing these things out, I mean, yes, we know it's understandable how they can't use a sledgehammer on these airlines, because they might want to ensure that you don't get them out of business, because you need that sector to survive. But if they can't then meet up with those obligations, look at that, 37 billion? That's a lot of money, and over several years. So sometimes you just wonder, because the passengers themselves, they never had an idea that those aviation debt was that much. And then the way passengers are treated, look at the figures of the postponed and cancelled flights. Oh, goodness.
7,500.
It is a lot.
Huge.
It is a lot. But maybe we should even hear what the minister had to say about it.
The challenges within the Nigeria's aviation space, including a 37 billion naira debt owed to the federal government, is whipped up by the Minister of Aviation at this week's ministerial briefing.
About 37 billion that they are owing, especially ARIC, the culprit. I know they are owing us about maybe 13, 14 billion. If you are owing government, they are owing fund. The Bakotni, that's the Babalaki, right? The Bakotni is owing, I think, about 14 billion as the last count. He's not paid a single dime from the time he started to run that terminal building. And we have not ceased giving him electricity, water, fire cover, and so on and so forth. He hasn't paid a dime for 13 years. And if we go to shut his doors, the media, of course, and Nigerian people will say we're killing businesses. But he's killing our services too. Because we have to have that money to provide for that toilet that you're looking for in Lagos Airport. So we have to earn money. Most of these are living by the IGRs, and so we need the money.
The aviation minister also believes the development of Nigeria's aviation sector is consequent upon the concessioning of airports, which would not amount to job loss.
We will not allow this infrastructure to keep dilapidating and not earning money. We will ensure that we give you the best of infrastructure, put it in the hands of the private sector who understand the business, run it and pay government and return back the infrastructure back to the people, because we are social democrats in power.
Under the present administration, he notes that a total of 67 final aviation accident reports have been released from 2007 to 2016 to ensure transparency in airline accident investigations. The aviation minister is attributing frequent airline collapse to poor capacity to manage. As a matter of fact, he insists that passengers enforce their rights by demanding full refund after a 2-hour delayed flight to further entrench sanity into the system. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Wow. I wonder how that's going to work.
I mean, there's a
Demand
process.
full refund?
But the workability is the fact that imagine you're rushing to a place. You've been delayed for 2 hours. I mean, how long will it take you to get another flight? If there's another flight anyway. So I know it's important to have these things, ready, but how workable is it?
Yeah, but when they say parking spaces, rising cost of aviation fuel, all contribute to, to the cancellation of flights, flight delays. But if you look at the turnover of those other airlines compared to, they're new. Ibom Air, for instance, they keep the time, which is their differentiation.
So what are they doing
even in
different?
the same circumstance, they're able to do that. I mean, when Airpeace started, they were doing that. Well, even though, of course, there are challenges here and there. But, so what then happened along the way?
That's the question. Why, everyone seems to start well. Airpeace always kept to time. What's the other? Arik also always kept to time. Everyone, when they started, always kept to time. What is it that makes them seemingly retract in the quality of their
parking
business?
space suddenly
Can I go through the list?
Yeah,
A couple
why
of
not?
reasons. So, talked about non-availability and rising cost of aviation fuel, which you referenced. Non-availability of forex for spare parts and maintenance. Delay in clearance of spare parts from customs. Sudden change of weather, of course. Delay due to VIP movement. Inefficient passenger access and facilitation. Inadequate screening and exit points at departure. So those are some of the reasons. And, that actually takes attention away from the airline operators in some sense to the regulators. It's funny. I don't want this to be a back and forth really between.
Yeah, because now if you mention regulators say, look, 37 billion naira is impeding the performance of those agencies. So at the end of the day, it's the passengers that bear the brunt of this.
I don't want to. I'm not a specialist. I'm not. I don't know about the aviation airline because it is technical. At the end of the day, only one thing matters, and that is service experience.
Pardon me, safety. That's what they always say. Safety.
I said service experience.
Oh, yeah.
So the service experience is primarily safety. Okay. It's the responsibility of the airline and the aviators, the regulators to ensure safety.
Yeah.
As far as the passenger is concerned, safety is a given because once I get into, I expect you to take me to where I'm going safely. That's why I'm boarding your. So it's the service experience for them. So at the end of the day, that is what matters to the passenger. The question of how, that's another thing altogether. All of these lists that you itemized, it's business. I mean, it's taken for granted that when you want to get into such technical businesses, at least you have an idea of what you're getting into. You factor all of the eventualities in. And come on, the aviation industry didn't just start yesterday or the day before yesterday. It's been on for years. So all of these issues are there. And then the business terrain in Nigeria is not unknown to those who operate within it. So the challenges are always there. Topsy-turvy nature is always there. So all of these things I expect would have been factored in. So what it is that makes good business experience of the aviators, the airline operators, work, and then after some time, seemingly go back. I think we need to find out.
Well, definitely there'll be some experts who will also send in their, what they think about all of these things to ensure that this all goes well. Yes, it's good to see that competition so that, who knows if it will help improve standards. All right, that said, let's delve into the dailies today and see what some of them have got to say about what is going on. All right, let's start with Blueprint. The lead story on the front page of Blueprint, they focusing on security. And it's a huge one. I mean, yesterday, look at that. Look at the scenarios that play themselves out. And now you hear CDS Irabo on insurgency, fight, others. We can't use old tools to defeat new threats. Whoa. And the governor of Borno State alluded to this about old tools, the resources, and much as he says they're doing their best, but they say they've ordered for equipment. He says, where are they? And then you thought, so wait, what about those deliveries that, was publicized, that they had taken delivery of certain aircrafts, fighter jets. So aren't they supposed to be part of it? Or, okay, maybe in that story, you may get a full disclosure of that context, what it means. But if he's saying we can't use old tools to defeat new threats, it does suggest that whatever it is that has been received, there's still that gap.
But one can understand that those who are working in government at that level may not be able to say some of the challenges that they have.
May not be able to what? Say
may
it?
not be able to say it.
Well, this headline says a lot.
So it is, and so I'm actually very shocked that this is coming.
Pleasantly
from
shocked?
Yes, pleasantly shocked, definitely. This is not the first time. I mean, you remember also that inquest by, I think it's the House of Representatives, that a good number of army personnel haven't been paid, for quite a long time. And so it was a very shocking thing. So if we do not even take care of the morale, we're talking about equipment here today. If we haven't even taken good enough care of the morale of the people who use the equipment, how good can the equipment be?
But the first part of that, right, perhaps could gladden a lot of people's hearts, where it says, new capabilities in intelligence surveillance being developed. So it suggests that it's a local solution. Perhaps there might be some collaboration, but if it's largely local or they're working with their international counterparts, all well and good, as long as we can contribute to the entire thing. And then you see bandits kill immigration officers, injure soldier in fresh Katsina attack, 14 abducted in Kaduna community, DHQ goes tough on rape, human trafficking, others. So these are the things you see that raises huge questions about what really goes on. Plateau records 953 cholera cases, 14 deaths in 2 months, ascribed to an official. 13 states ravaged by diarrhea, NCDC, that's ascribed to them. And then you see kills 289 between January and June 2021. Oh dear, that's a key one. Mago loses promotion bid. PSC okays 3 DIGs, 24 CPs. And right beside that, rising insecurity threat to 2023. British government warns. Rising insecurity threat to 2023. British government warns.
We are hearing this for the first time, even at home.
Yep. Oh yeah. And then speaking about health, we saw that report yesterday, that communication from the NCDC about the Delta variant being found in a passenger en route, Nigeria. So, well, when you saw that yesterday, you thought, people could easily access NCDC those days. I say those days because before the suspension of Twitter. So now they have to try and use all the means to get their messages out to people a lot faster. So if people have not been used to those other new means, it means it will take a little time for people to get used to whatever new means they will apply in addition to the traditional means of disseminating this info. So those could just be part of what constitutes what they call channel noise in communication. You never can tell, but at least it's good that we put that information out, so people need to be careful. The Delta variants, that's the alarm they've raised. Be careful out there.
And it's a lot deadlier. That deadlier part, I think people need to get the message.
Because you might take it for granted that Delta variant means a variant that came from Delta State.
It's not Delta State, Nigeria.
It's just the... Okay, that's on a lighter note.
Just to be clear.
We'll take a look at Leadership Friday. I couldn't help it. 48 hours after kidnap of 140 students, bandits abduct 15 in Kaduna. This is not normal. Like I always say, this is not normal at all. Demand 180 million naira ransom. Boko Haram abduct travelers in Borno. Violence has become a commodity in Nigeria, Abdul Salami. Now that is very pregnant. Commodity. You know how a commodity is treated. It's essentially a business. That's another angle to look at it from. But this is huge, really. More details on page 4. And you see 76,000 persons killed in 10 years. According to governors. You want to understand the context of that one. Page 4 of Leadership Friday has more details for you. Nigeria insists on unconditional return of looted 1,130 artifacts from Germany. Wow, 1,130.
These guys looted those dry those days.
Wow.
So you can imagine. And of course, you always have people who say, could be more than that.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, these artifacts have made millions, if not billions, over the years.
So naturally, and those countries supposed to get something from what has been made.
Yes, and I think that's only fair.
It's not just enough to return it.
Because you're returning after you've made so much from it. Like, okay, fine.
It's like IMF, they give you a facility, or someone gives you a facility. After that facility, you just take the facility, but without any interest. Oh, come on. Come on.
I really hope that's also
supposed to be
part of
grateful
the
for
plan.
returning the artifacts, just like that.
So that should be a conversation we're having as well, if we're not having it already. And there's this other one. This one has been trending. It's still trending. Of course, we'll give you insight into that. But let me just take it. INEC job. I'm no longer an APC member on a chair. It's on page 6. That shocked a lot of people, but don't worry. Let's keep our gunpowders dry, as it were, as we take a look at this holistically. A couple of other stories on the front page of Leadership Friday, but let's leave it there.
Well, that housing deficit thing is very interesting. Nigerian News Direct has this one. Alleged VAT evasion. FIRS appoints banks to recover 1.8 trillion naira from multi-choice. Stories on page 3. And guess what? The writer says, we are yet to receive FIRS notification. Subscribe to Multi-Choice Nigeria. Find the details on page 3 of the paper this morning. And so many others. NCC denies recording 3 million new telephone lines in Q1. What's that about? The story again is on page 3 of the Nigerian News Direct this morning.
All right, so if we take a look at the Guardian newspaper here today, FG to clamp down on Arik by Courtney as debts hit 37 billion naira. So then I saw this press release by Courtney yesterday saying that they deny owing the government any amount at all, and that it is government that owes them, 200 billion naira?
Whoa.
The NCAA owes them 200 billion. You thought, what's going on here? So,
Well,
the release is out there anyway.
Supreme Court, here we come, or what?
The what?
Supreme Court, here we come?
But the minister did, when he was about to say by Courtney, he did ask someone to be sure. So maybe he meant to say something. So maybe he meant to say by Courtney, but clearly this doesn't look good.
Because they responded almost immediately and said, no, you owe us 200 billion. We don't. But I guess you may still hear a thing or two more about that one. Look at the writers. Mandate 100% fares refund for 2-hour flight delay. 100%. So if it's more than 2 hours. So are they going to be creative around these things now? They won't send you any notice of flight delay until it's 2 hours to take off, so that they have it on record that, no, we sent you this just right in the nick of time.
You're giving ideas now.
No, but we see these things, they do these things.
You forget what they call strategic communication.
So, yeah, so you see by Connie denying owing fine. Aviation Minister, why FG will regulate use of drones? That also came up yesterday. Air crash report of the late Chief of Army Staff to be ready next week. And then you see AIB releases probe reports on 8 serious incidents. Yeah, there you go. Rumpus in Imo Assembly, Ogun Assembly prescribed 3-year jail term. Imo Assembly sacks Chief Whip and things like that. So, but don't forget that one at the bottom strip there. Matawale lawyers weigh PDP's chances as party goes to court. That's the Guardian today.
The Nigerian Tribune leads with PDP mocks on a chair as she denies membership of APC. Fireworks in Senate at her screening for INEC job. That's on page 2. I mean, a lot of jokes have been flying around with this one. But that's the major one for the Nigerian Tribune this morning. And don't forget that gunshots at Imo House of Assembly. 6 lawmakers suspended now. Shots were fired, not just 1, 2, 3. They were fired at the Imo House of Assembly. That's the Nigerian Tribune for you. And there's sports. Let's leave it there.
The Vanguard newspaper very quickly. Nigeria heading for insolvency with new loans. That's ascribed to experts. Fault continuous borrowing to finance consumption. This is something we should definitely keep our heads on, our eyes out on. Save $410, beg your pardon, 410 naira to the dollar exchange rate assumption. Unrealistic. Pressures coming from exchange rate volatility. That's the lead of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And right under the picture there, PIB, 5% equity stake is rape. Slap on oil communities. Ijo Ishakiri youths. It's coup against host communities. Mesuke. Bill will ensure transparency, foster development, says Silva. It'll attract investment, says OPEC. The story is on page 12 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning, and so many others. And very quickly, Mr. and Mrs. Mr. says, 2 of my brothers came here while I was away, and you served them with my best wine and 3/4 of the food in the house. Why? And the wife responds, why this palaver? You told me several times that since I've agreed to marry you, I must also marry your relatives. As the Vanguard this morning. Good morning, Malkwe.
Do the Nays have that?
Let's quickly run through Daily Trust for you. You have this one on the front page of Daily Trust. How mop-up by agencies, neighboring countries pushes food prices up. That's also there. Anchor borrower beneficiaries buying finished products to hoard. That's according to the Minister of Agriculture. Says CBN collecting grain instead of cash. We only mop up extra harvest. That's according to the Apex Bank. World Food Program, ECOWAS in rush for maize, millet, others. So after investing so much in agriculture, we now have to face the pressure from neighboring countries who are rushing to mop up our grains. And, I don't know how we're going to deal with that. But page 5 is where you'll see the story there. Tears as army commander killed by Boko Haram, IED buried in Abuja. A very sad one there. It's on page 4 of the papers. You have a number of other stories just beneath the nameplate. Uproar in Senate as Onoche denies APC membership. That's also there. Let's look at New Telegraph for you. New Telegraph has this one. Insecurity. Nigeria's democracy may collapse before 2023. UK government warns. I think it's a warning that we mustn't take lightly. Yeah, some people might claim that, we always see these alarms prior to elections. 2015 were predicted to split, but here we are, still standing. The question is, how are we standing? A look at this. Nigeria's democracy may collapse before 2023. UK government warns. Country at crossroads. That's according to Fayemi. Buhari upholding democratic tenets. According to the Councillors Forum, pages 2 and 5 is where you find details. Pastors now endangered species. That's according to Cant. Declares 7-day global fast. Prayers. Federal government set to recover 37 billion naira owed by airline operators. Yes, you've seen that story on other papers. And then if you were to look just beneath the nameplate, look at this one. AGF, IGP to decide Mago's fate as Police Commission promotes 332 CPs, other senior officers. They have a lot of stories for you on the front page of New Telegraph and inside the paper. We'll leave you to do that yourself. Let's leave it there for the paper. Gentlemen.
Somebody dailies here this morning. Well, I can hear you guys. We're back in a moment. Stay with us.
And that's exactly what we're sinking our teeth into this morning. Mr. Alwaraf Sajani, who is the Executive Director of CISLAC, joins us here in our Abuja studios. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
A pretty staunch defense put up by Mrs. Onoche, you must admit.
Well, it's very sad, and actually many Nigerians are wondering, what is this desperation that you just want to be there? Public service is meant really to serve the people, and if Nigerians are saying that there is an integrity deficit in the process or in the person that is being put forward, I don't understand a government that is also talking about transparency, that will bring in someone who already Nigerians believed will undermine electoral integrity if that person is there. I think the inability for the government official to appreciate the sensitivity of Nigerians is one thing that really is of a great concern. If you want to appoint this woman, why can't you give her another appointment? But this one that is supposed to be seen to be independent, that is supposed to have people of impeccable character, that is supposed to have people that will not, nobody will, will doubt their, bias you still want to enforce such kind of person. This action in itself tantamount to undermining the independence of INEC. Because if you eventually impose this, if you impose this woman, many Nigerians will not believe that that commission is independent. And going by her antecedents, who is totally intolerant of views by other Nigerians concerning this government, it's very clear that many Nigerians will not believe she will not go and do the bidding of the government. So I think, right from the beginning, the insistence, and if you look at the delay even the Senate has, taken, in order to bring back this issue, so that the public will, maybe forget about this. It all shows that we are not doing things in the best interest of Nigerians and democracy itself. So I don't know why the people who are actually benefiting the bureaucracy are the very one that are even, creating doubts about the very importance of democracy that you are practicing. And they are the beneficiary of the democracy, because ordinary person voted for democracy, and what Nigerians are seeing, insecurity, corruption, impunity, complete, hopelessness in the system. Whereas those drivers who are benefiting, you can see them, just elect them, give them 3 months, you will see the drastic change in the pattern of their lives. They may not have houses in Abuja, but give them some few months when they're there. You see houses that, even rich people who are actually businessmen and women may not have. So I think it is important, and this very action that the government is doing with even the National Assembly entertaining this, honestly speaking, is not giving hope and confidence that we will have a sound, electoral system or electoral body that will be manned by people of integrity, people that Nigerians will sleep and say, look, they are actually doing their work, because they are not known to be involved in any political activism. And in particular, why this woman matters more is because of the role she has been playing. Like I said, go to Twitter, go to Facebook, go everywhere. Once you express contrary view to what this government, is doing, you will be abused, dismissed, blackmail, all sorts of things.
There are two arguments, though. There are those who say, and she did say first, in her own defense, that immediately after the president was sworn into, won the 2019 elections, she did not have any affiliations with the Buhari Support Organization and a number of other organizations which were machineries built to support the president into power. That she stopped that. She stopped her association with them. And that when the APC did a revalidation of members, she did not take part in the process, perhaps because she did not want to be a part of the party anymore. So that is there in her defense. But there are other people who also claim that, we are all human beings. We all have our biases. So perhaps her own bias was out in the open and she openly expressed her bias. But that the people who we put in agencies or in any place where we think that, people should be neutral, are we truly saying that they don't have biases, and because of their bias, they might not be able to tell right from wrong? What are your take on those kinds of questions?
No, listen, let us not play with Nigerians' intelligence, and let us also be honest. And particularly, I am saying that with regard to this government that talks about, transparency, integrity, and morality. This particular person, this nominee, the antecedent, her antecedent. For the fact that even before the 2019 election, if she claimed that after the 2019 the president won, she stopped, formally being involved. Informally, she is, and she's still. So, even from the moral superiority, if you want to come this thing, you should actually come with clean hands. Like I said, if you want to appoint her, nobody, we are not saying that then appoint her to other, government appointment. But this particular one, that all of us as Nigerians have stake, because once you undermine the electoral integrity, once you have people who, are obviously biased, once you have people who openly will create uncertainty, and with her background and the activism in terms of attack to Nigerians, give her that place, give her that opportunity there. Nothing is going to change. So I'm appealing to government. Let her give in another appointment. But this one, that every other parties, that every other stakeholders really want to see a very, if you like, decent, configuration of men and women that can actually give hope and confidence, that are not being associated with even the past in terms of, their disposition about, politics and promoting even the government. You need to ensure that the political parties themselves, they are not having an issue with such kind of person.
Mr. Rushton, but you haven't quite answered the question about the natural biases that people could have.
Listen, you as a journalist, will you just come to the station and start promoting your own biases? Because you want to be fair. You want Nigerians to continue to listen to you. People respect you because of your ability to balance things. People respect you because of your, ability to give chance and opportunity and views to others, and you're able to accommodate and tolerate dissenting views.
So I do not want to make this personal, but assuming we were to
not personal to you. I'm just making example.
Assuming we were to go down that route, just for instance, on television, of course, it will be expected that you will give a fair analysis, so to speak. That's correct.
Yes.
This is without prejudice to the biases or your personal beliefs.
Exactly.
Isn't that correct?
Exactly.
So, as much as possible, some people have said that what she has expressed is her personal view, which is out there in the open. People already know where she stands. Some people will say perhaps it's even safer to have somebody who they know where they stand rather than having somebody who, they might be doing things in the secret and then out in the open they claim to be doing other things. What are your thoughts on that?
At least they didn't come out to say that they are doing this and they are not being visibly. Look, the person we are talking about is as good as Garba Shehu, is as good as Adeshina, is as good as Lamahmed. So there's no difference between these people that I have mentioned now in terms of their position about government, in terms of their defense, rightly or wrongly, in terms of association with the government, and even the ruling party. There's no difference between her and them. In fact, they work together. They work together. Look, why can't the government, bring more confidence to Nigerians that they are serious about 2023 by having people that Nigerians will not have issue with them? Must she be there? If you insist she must be there, then remove everybody in INEC and bring in, the Bari Media Organization. Then we know that we are heading to, another thing. But you cannot come and even create problem for other people who are not politicians within the INEC commission as commissioners. Look, we are talking about independence of this body, and we are talking about restoring confidence for Nigerians to believe in the electoral system, which is marred by electoral malpractice, electoral manipulation, electoral violence, and totally making Nigerians to distance themselves because of the character they've seen in the within the electoral system, which did not give them confidence that if they vote XYZ and that XYZ won, will be declared. And that is why all the effort that civil society, and in fact, fixed politics that has emerged, with a lot of credible Nigerians talking about electoral reform that can actually usher us and restore confidence and belief on Nigerians. As it is now, if you go and put that woman, I am telling you, you have already succeeded in making Nigerians not believe that 2023 is going to be free, fair, credible. So I am appealing to the government. give her another appointment where it does not concern public worries, public concern about the integrity of the electoral system that will happen. I think even herself, I don't think she's happy that Nigerians are rejecting her. In fact, if I were her, I will honorably say that, Mr. President, thank you for this nomination because it's causing me more sleepless nights. I can tell you that.
What if she's not having sleepless nights? What if she's
because
sleeping
if
very well?
if you are nominated to do something for the nation and you are rejected overwhelmingly by Nigerian people because of the role that they believe you are going to play, it's not going to be a positive role. If you know her very well, she doesn't waste time. In fact, I don't know why Buhari has not given her minister because, honestly speaking, what she is doing, some of the ministers are not even doing to promote even the government, to promote the president. But, she accepts she's a victim of the system there. So I will rather even appeal to her to even apply, to go and tell the president that, sorry, president, Nigerians, they don't like me there because they believe if I go there, I will do a bad job. So
what if, and this is just a what if really, I mean, I'm wondering, some people might argue, because she said that after the president was returned in 2019, and that she ceased to be a member of the APC and did not bother to revalidate her membership. Now, some people will say that there are people who are in political parties because of a candidate. They only support one candidate. The moment that candidate's term is done, they don't have anything to do with a political party. So some people might argue that she has spoken in vehement support of the president. The president is not going to be on the ballot in 2023, even if he wanted to be. He's been constitutionally barred. You don't think that perhaps as a result of the president not being there, that perhaps she might be able to wear some neutrality?
I don't think
in looking at the electoral process.
I don't think that will apply because, see, what she is doing is not just about Muhammadu Buhari as a person. It's a collective team that she is part of. What is to continue to push for the ruling party, not just President Buhari. When did Buhari know her? This woman is not even based in Nigeria. She came, and because they didn't even know her, they refused to give her any serious appointment. They just kept her where she is just making noise.
But in fairness to her, the one person that she's consistently supporting.
That's why I say they have cheated her because she has got bad names. She had fight with so many people, but they did not reward her with anything.
Oh, she was made special assistant to the president.
No,
social media.
When some people who have not done anything, like Apabio, Apabio just came in, they gave him minister. How many months, did Apabio cross over and he became a minister? And this woman has been talking in favor of the President Buhari. She has been talking in favor of the ruling party. They neglected her. She has been prostrated, if you don't know. So that is why I said the government themselves, they did not do well to her. And that's why I say if I were her, because it's about integrity. Since Nigerians say, look, if I go there, I will be seen to be doing biasing. President, thank you. If you wish, give me another thing that I can go and perform to the best of my ability where Nigerians can see my potentials. But not where Nigerians will continue to castigate me and abuse me. Let me tell you, once that woman is there, whether she has been allowed to perform her things in that annex or not, in terms of our political activism, Nigerians will not believe in anything fairness that will come from annex. So what the government is doing is actually to undermine the independence of that commission. Because if you bring in people who Nigerians have doubt on them, that annex will be seen as completely not for Nigerians, but for some people who want to impose themselves. So that is why the government should save the integrity of that institution by making sure that they do not bring controversial people. Like I said, if you want, Awada, please give her something, let her do. She's very active in defending the government. Why can't you find something to give her so that she can continue to promote that? But why do you want to bring her to ridicule her? Because now you made Nigerians and those who don't even know her to know her as someone who will go and do bad thing. It is not good for her. That is why I say, if I were her, I would tell the president, thank you. Because you are further damaging me. Because people are enjoying, you appointed people, they are enjoying there, and then me, you kept me, giving me a job that is bringing more insults every day. So I think I want to appeal to her herself to let her tell them that, thank you. If she cares about her own personal integrity, if she cares that Nigerians are not going to see her as somebody who is going to be, pre-biased, as somebody who is going to add value to the electoral integrity, of our democracy.
Largely, most of the arguments that you have made have been largely based on the perception and how this is going to affect even the perception of INEC. She doesn't even have to do anything. The very fact that she's there already affects how Nigerians will perceive the institution.
Absolutely.
I'm wondering, in your thinking, what do you think could have informed? Because I really don't know how the selection processes for ministers or for even anyone going to INEC is done. But I want to imagine that there would have been a thought process that would have thrown up her nomination for such a position. Do you think that the people who nominated her saw something that we didn't see? I
want to believe they must have nominated her because they believe that she's strong in the defense of government, and therefore.
But they know what is required in INEC.
No. They don't care. Look, you see, you are dealing with people who are not respecting the sensitivity of Nigerians and who don't care about the integrity of even the government itself. Look, this government is supposed to be fighting corruption. Therefore, things like this should not be allowed, because once the perception is thrown, Nigerians will believe that, okay, you're out there to rig, you're out there to do X, Y, Z. That alone has diminished and destroyed what you are preaching to do. And that is why I say there's need to save this institution itself and to even save the government itself and create more confidence on Nigerians that, look, we are going to have, okay, Jega was not a politician. When he came, there was no contention. Ibn Mahmoud was not known to be, playing like electoral politics. No contention. There are court number, Percy Okoye. He's not a politician. Nobody contested, his nomination. So why this one? Which means that if people are saying this, then they have a valid, obvious, visible, tangible reasons to argue that this woman is not going to add value to this system there because of her antecedent. So it doesn't matter whether she did not revalidate her party membership. That one is just by the way. But people know you, and you have been very active, very vicious in terms of attacking, condemning, blackmailing, all sorts of things. Once you disagree with, that's why I say it's pity that those who have even suffered for the government themselves, they have not been rewarded. And those who just, in part, if you look at some of the people, they have been attacking the government, have been attacking the President Barry, but simply because they moved to another party, they were given those juicy appointments. She, like her, who has been from the one, involved in supporting the president and the ruling party, she was regulated. She has nothing. They used to move with the Abike, Sadia, the minister of, all of them, we see them everywhere, But you see, they are all, considered for something more tangible that they can do, which Nigerians are not even contesting whether they are APC or they are not APC. Why can't you do that to this woman? And if they did not do that to you, why can't you just leave them, go back to London and have your peace? Now, everybody now is seeing her as a bad person. Why? It's not good.
Let's take a break now. We'll come back and we'll continue the conversation. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Sunrise Daily, coming to you from our studios in both Lagos and Abuja. Yes, I'm in Abuja. We'll not throw it now to Lagos. They have questions for another guest right there in Lagos. Gentlemen.
Well, yeah, we do have Emmanuel Odunsi, who is the National President, Vanguard for Leadership and Democracy. He joins us via Zoom this morning. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Well, you heard the previous comments and even that today from Mr. Rafsanjani about the screening for that vacant or would-be vacant position in INEC and involving Ms. Loretta Onoche. What do you think of all of these arguments making the rounds?
Thank you very much. Let me restate again, as I've always done. I have never met her in person. I don't know her. She does not know me. But I'm speaking simply for the interests of this country, Nigeria. I'm happy my brother talked about public perception. My sister, Tumope, she raised very vital points for us to ponder over so that we'll get the right decision we are making, because there's been a lot of emotion, sentiment, even up to yesterday evening. A respected member of the House of Assembly of my state, who is vehemently opposed to her, was still arguing with me. And my position is clear and is consistent. The issue is public perception against her. By who? Yes, we have been told that she's a card-carrying member of APC, which she has now denied. I'm not going to join in that issue. But what was even going to influence my, change of mind towards her was the issue raised, allegedly that she's also from Delta State and that Delta State has 2 slots. And I told my brother, the honorable member, yesterday, I said, well, if it is true that Onoche, we have another person from Delta State who is also a national commissioner of INEC, then it won't be fair for Delta State to have 2 national commissioners while we have 6 states in the South. But I've heard Anna clearly to say that the other INEC commissioner was not appointed from the slot of Delta State, that she's actually there on behalf of Cross River State. If that is true, then that clears everything. Then when you're talking about biases of appointees into INEC, let me repeat and repeat again. I have been a governorship candidate 3 times, up to the end. And have interacted. Of course, when you are a governorship candidate, you have to appear before INEC. There was a particular incident where I had a disagreement with an INEC commissioner who happened to be deadly related to one of the politicians in that race. And I challenge Nigerians to be fair, to show me one person in INEC before or now who has no bias for any politician in Nigeria. Show me one person, just one person.
Mr. David,
you see the point here? Yes, the point here is that...
Are you suggesting that even the national chairman of INEC has a bias for a certain political party?
Let him deny that he does not have. I heard my Rafsanjani or my sister mention some names versus Okoye and all that stuff. You see, when you say bias, a lot of us became INEC national chairman because of our bias for against June 12th. You all know this. Is that not a bias? Is that not a bias? Because if you're in support of SDP or June 12, it means you are also against some other persons who were not in support of June 12. And you are in INEC. Okay? What I'm trying to say here is that, look, for me, from my experience, as one who has participated in this thing people call election, because as far as I'm concerned, I've never seen an election in my life in Nigeria. Even as a governorship candidate and the state chairman of my party for 10 years and chairman of CNPP.
Why did you say so? Is that because you didn't win?
No, Chambali, you know that for me, I've always maintained that in election, it is wrong, with due respect, to use the word win and lose. You don't win an election or lose an election. You only present yourself, and it is left for the people to decide. We have seen even in other societies where good people with credible integrity, record of integrity, present themselves for election, and the majority just say, look, we just want somebody who will do the normal business for us, and they go and vote for whoever they choose, they decide to choose. So it's not a case of this use of the word win and lose. I've always said that it is creating problem for us. We don't win or lose election. It is left for the people. If you're in a community where people are criminals and you're a good person, and they go to the ballot box and decide to choose one of them, doesn't mean you have lost. You didn't lose. That is the other side of democracy.
So right now, and correct this if it's wrong, you're equating one either being a card-carrying member of a political party, or as Mr. Rafsanjani alluded to, when people know you for belonging to a political party, is that the same thing as you suggested, having biases and coming into INEC office? I'm trying to understand properly what you think, that there isn't any difference whatsoever.
There's no difference. I am also a civil society person. I have been a labor leader with a multinational company. I have been very committed to, civil society operations. Our organization is not registered because we don't collect money from anybody. I was also a top official of NDI, National Development Institute of America, that is interested in election monitoring all over the world. Okay, so I know what I'm talking about. Most of us who are civil society organization people, we know what we are doing. We are biased. Some of us work for partisan politicians. Never mind what you see on TV or whatever. I'm not saying that it's not good. You hold your side, I hold my side. Look, for me, my suggestion is that instead of saying we are looking for independent or people who are not politicians, have no link to politicians, look, let me ask you one question, my brother Chamberlain. If by section 24 of the Nigerian Constitution, which says that the duty of every adult Nigerian from the age of 18 is to participate actively in the governance process of Nigeria, and then you wake up now, you are now saying, for you to be appointed into INEC, we are looking for somebody who has never been involved in anything governance or politics. That means we are making mockery of that section 24, because it's expected that everyone at the age of 18 ought to have participated and be partisan in support of somebody. Now, back to even the INEC, I still ask the question, who is that person? Who is that person? Some have been active. It's just like, okay, you mentioned Jega. Jega, from what we are told, was very active in the struggle for June 12th. And of course, June 12th, it was the so-called election between SDP and NRC. And so you have members of NRC who are still alive and still actively involved in the politics of today. So such person can also see Jega then as somebody who is coming to do the bidding of SDP against them. Well, so for me, if you ask me, the way forward is that, let me make this point. The way forward for me will be that let us have a system where the political parties involved in an election should be given opportunity to nominate at least one person from among them to be part of the electoral process, the management and supervision. So it will be difficult for me to sit down as a member of my party and then a member of another party trying to rig. It's not possible.
Well,
in any case.
Interestingly, we have agents already that represent political parties during elections. At least they have an insight and they know the process and, of course, ensure that things go well. Whether this happens in reality, as you have mentioned, of course, it's another thing entirely. But, there are different ways to look at this conversation. There's a moral angle. There's what the law says, the constitutional angle. And I know you've referenced sections of the Constitution. And let me just refer you to paragraph 14, part 1 of the third schedule of the Constitution as amended. And it specifically says that a member of the Commission shall be non-partisan and a person of unquestionable integrity. So maybe the word bias is not the term that the Constitution uses. It uses non-partisan. And, I had to go back to the dictionary to check the meaning of partisan, because clearly it appears as though the meaning has changed. And clearly the dictionary says a partisan person is a strong supporter of a party, a cause, or a person. In this case, a party. So with this definition, would you say that she is partisan, a strong supporter of the APC?
Of course, she's a strong supporter, an unrepentant one for that matter, for President Muhammadu. I've been reading some of her, since this whole matter, I've been reading some of her posts on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter. So what is wrong with that?
So,
Now,
in
that
the eye of the
paragraph 14,
Constitution, if
let
you
me
agree
now tell
that
you
she's
something.
partisan,
No,
in the eye of the
wait first.
Constitution,
That's the point I'm
doesn't that
making.
disqualify her?
No. If you read that paragraph 14, along with section 24 of the Nigerian Constitution that I've just mentioned, which imposes duty on you and I and every adult Nigerian of age of 18 and above. Don't forget that for you to qualify to be an INEC commissioner, you have to be, I think, 35 and above, which means you would have been an adult at the age of 18 and then 17 years. And then the question will now be asked, if you say you have never participated, in active governance of Nigeria, for the 17 years that you became mature as an adult, it means you have no business serving this country. You just sit down and you wait for others to struggle and for you to enjoy. That is unacceptable. So you can see the contradiction.
I mean,
Mr.
Odunsi, you know how the Constitution works. I mean, this part is meant to shed some more light, at least make things clear, because issues like this will arise. So, I mean, this has been more specific. It says that a member of the commission shall be non-partisan. You have agreed to the definition of partisan, which is a strong supporter of a party. You've agreed that she's a strong supporter of the APC,
that's right,
or the president, by extension, the APC. So the Constitution is clear. And let me even take you to the other part. If you don't want to agree with this one, let me take you to the other part that says of unquestionable integrity. If there's anything that has been raised so far, there are questions. So that's also another side of the Constitution.
That is even the main one. If we are focusing on her integrity, I am more interested in that. Unquestionable integrity. Except my brother has evidence to present to Nigerians and to me now that Mrs. Loretta Onochie is a Nigerian of questionable integrity. Failure to do that, then they have no argument anymore. I have told you, justifies section 24 and paragraph 14. See, because many parts of our constitution appear to be contradicting and creating more problem. How can you expect an adult? Okay, the INEC now is going around to say, look, we have spent some billions of naira to come up with an online registration for Nigerians who have now attained the age of 18. So every day, so why are you now interested in convincing Nigerians to come and carry out their civil responsibility and their constitutional duty to register with INEC and encourage them to do so as to have their participation in whoever emerges as the governor or president or senator or whatever to represent and take our country out of the mess that we find ourselves. Sorry to use that word. Why?
Well, I mean, the provisions of the law, pardon me, the provisions are quite clear. But since you raised that issue, let's take this back to Mr. Rafsanjani to get his response to that question you raised about her partisanship or partisan affiliations and the unquestionable integrity angle. Mr. Rafsanjani, please go ahead.
Yes,
I want to let my brother know that when we are talking about partisanship, it's very, very clear, like you rightly, in fact, refer him to even the dictionary to interpret what partisanship is, which he, gladly agreed that she's actually unrepentant one. That, for me, has already knocked and, finished the whole matter. That's number one. Number two, we need to understand there's a difference between electoral politics and Nigerians being concerned about governance. For example, I am not involved in electoral politics. I'm not a member of any political parties, but I'm a concerned Nigerian that I'm tired of looters. I'm tired of the fact that, the system is producing crooks and criminals who are coming to create, favorable laws for themselves, not for the people. I am tired to see that the country is, so many things are just not working. The civil service has collapsed. No hope, no confidence. Hospitals are not working. Education has collapsed. Our own value system have gone. I am tired as a Nigerian to see that, and I will be happy if, based on the advocacy we are doing, to see improvement on that, irrespective of which party or which president is doing that. So the work that you refer us doing is a work that has nothing to do with involving in politics or involving in supporting anybody. But whoever comes, whether it is PDP, APC, any other party, that Nigerians say, look, this is what we want to see that happens. So I think it is important that we differentiate. Yes, of course, you made reference to the fact that some people supported, the June 12 thing. Some people, they do that just because of their desire to ensure that the military, is out. Not that they believe in those parties at that time, but it was an opportunity for them to say, look, since there was an election, somebody won the election, why can't you give him, so that we can avoid the kind of consequences we are experiencing, which till today we are still facing that. That's number one. Number two, regarding the issue of the integrity, you see, you cannot also take one and leave one. The Constitution is very clear. I mean, the provision is very, very clear. And I am telling you that even herself, she will not be happy that her integrity is being put to caution and tested. When people rejected you, then there's a problem with the integrity issue then. So to avoid that, just quietly leave them. Because even if you go there, the eye will be more on you. What they plan to do with you, you might not even be able to execute it. So really, seriously, we need to stop this thing in this country if we want to move forward. If the commission is supposed to be independent and supposed to have the qualification of the person as mentioned in the Constitution, why do we want to tinker with it? Why do we want to take Nigerians for granted? INEC is not an appendage, or is not supposed to be an appendage of the ruling party. It's supposed to be for all the political parties. So all the political parties, they want to be assured, and they want to ensure that the INEC that is supposed to conduct free, fair, credible election is not managed by people who they already have lost confidence in them. Likewise to Nigerians who want to really have change, desire to have change, to get out, to read out people who they think have no value.
Okay, well, Mr. Rafsanjani, let me ask a question. Just one moment. Let me ask Mr. Odafe let me just ask him one question around the same issue that we have been talking about. Mr. Odafe, given all of this that's going on, all of the questions and all of the hoopla, to use Chamberlain's word here this morning, do you think, and also to draw from some of the things that Mr. Rafsanjani have said, do you think that the appointment of a clearly, unrepentantly partisan person, just as you have described you described Mr. Onoche the other time, do you see that kind of appointment helping the independence of INEC?
The question first we should ask, is NEC independent? The name wasn't INEC initially. We came from FEDECO, NEC, and people said, oh, let us have an independent electoral commission. And they now added I, independent. I am telling you that I have participated. I'm an insider. There's nothing like independent National Electoral Commission.
Do you think we should have an independent National Electoral Commission?
Of course.
Now,
that means that the process, wait, hold on first, please.
Okay.
And the process to achieving that is taking the power of appointing or nominating national chairman of INEC and members of INEC from the president. You take it back and give it back to the political parties and then very credible civil society organizations. But so long as the president, who is a partisan politician and interested party, is still given the power by the Constitution to so nominate persons to be INEC chairman and the rest of them. Look at Vejega. You know, this talk, I don't like talking about people, but the last time I mentioned somebody's name, oh, he got angry and blah, blah, blah. I said, but you're in the public office and you don't want me to mention your name. But Amina Zakaria, what's her name again? We all were told that she is a cousin of President Muhammadu Buhari, and she was an INEC commissioner. In fact, the most powerful before Mahmoud was appointed. And during her time in INEC, the same Nigerians celebrated INEC for conducting what they call free, fair election in Edo, Ondo, and other places. And I said, wait a minute. Oh, so Mrs. Amina Zakari is still there. So, and then the same INEC conducted free and fair election.
Well, so to be fair, really, to be fair,
myself the whole truth. I don't play politics.
So if you say that, this might even better the image of INEC or the independence of INEC. So to be fair, don't you think that we should have nomination from the PDP, or at least an ex-member of the PDP, an ex-member of the AAC,
the AAP? You shouldn't be even an ex-member.
So so you're agreeing that if that is not done now, so having just one of the APC isn't fair, then we should have others from other party. So maybe even at that, judging or going by your argument, this is still unfair.
No,
did you get what I'm saying? Going by your argument, that would mean that this is still unfair.
I am telling you that, no, I'm telling you that what you are trying to say is not true. For you to say that Mrs. Onoche, if she is now confirmed, will be the only partisan person in that INEC is not true. They know themselves. They know themselves.
Okay, Mr. Odafe, help us understand then. Who else is an unrepentant, pardon me, who else is an unrepentant supporter of a party in the INEC, as you have said?
Please, I don't want to mention it so they don't get angry again, but they know. Show me one who is not.
I just asked you to show me one who is.
Somebody like, no, wait first. You know, there was this, Gulo Jonathan does not even know, he didn't even know Professor Adari Ujega before he even nominated him, blah, blah, blah. We're just laughing. If he didn't know, it's unfortunate because Adari Ujega was very, very active from what we heard in the struggle for June 12th. My brother, with due respect to him, he's just trying to explain away where people just decided to protest for revalidation of the June 12th. It's not true.
In other words, what you're saying is that the same political parties that are contesting elections should have their members conducting and supervising the election.
In fact, that would be the best and the beginning of true democracy in Nigeria. Otherwise, all those things we celebrate, including June 12, with due respect, I was so much involved.
So why do we then need to go ahead and vote if we can just go there?
All the same thing.
So why should we then bother ourselves going to vote when they can go there and agree amongst themselves? Okay, you take this, you take that, and then let's go. Settles the whole thing.
No. I'm not talking about just go and share. I'm saying that for a body that will organize an election, Chamberlain, if you are an interested party in a process, and I'm an interested person and conflicting, opposing interested party, it will be difficult for you to read process, or it will be difficult for me to read process.
How long does it take to become members of? How long? Just 1 second, Mr. Daffy. How long does it take to cross carpet?
Yes.
How long does it take? Even when they are making these decisions, just at them. So you know these things. That's the point Chamberlain is making here. So the point again is, look, you have already made it clear.
You want to bring another issue?
No, you have made it. What you are suggesting is that we should have all members of every political party in Nigeria in INEC. That's about 74 or less now of them in INEC as commissioners. That's exactly what you're suggesting right now. So if that is the case, and you know how easy, just a second, you know how easy it is for like 60 or 70 political parties to align with just one close to an election. So how long does it take? How easy would that be?
Do you know what? Let me tell you something. I'm a member of People's Studential Party. Okay? These things we call 100 political parties. I hope you know what is going on. There are even members of INEC, what you call INEC, who actually sponsor or arrange those political parties. And why did they do that? They use that to negotiate with the so-called big parties.
Did your party, did PRP do that?
Petitions say we will be excluded. PRP, you know our record. Jambali, you know our record. I'm proud to say that you can go and confirm who Comrade Igbini Odafimane is. Ask the PDP governors in my state or anywhere.
I mean, at the national level.
PRP is of course, you know, at the national level, the reason the then PDP did everything possible to keep PRP out of the registered political party was because of our uncompromising stand on issues. They still feared us that they used the same Professor Jega to deregister us, and the same Professor Jega has now secretly gone behind the
all right, Mr. Daffy, just hang on a minute. We need to take in as maybe a couple of more questions because we need to wind down anytime soon. Mark, go ahead, please.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. I'm just wondering, I mean, sadly, I do not know if there are some misunderstandings here about June 12. I do not know if you would like to, you know.
Okay, let me clarify. Many mass democratic organizations at that time, including National Association of Nigerian Students, which, you know, I was also one of the leaders at that time, you know, that was our final year in 1993, right? We finished school actually at that time, but once we met, we took decisive decision about the June 12. In fact, we actually directed that in all the campuses, the students should not actually participate in that, election. But we have also been fighting the military at that time. We are calling for demilitarization of Nigerian policies and governance. And when June 12 came, we thought it would be not because we believe in the person who won or the party that won, but because we wanted the military to go so that, we can actually have a, civilian, democracy. That was why many Nigerians, many progressive Nigerians, they supported, the agitation on June 12 as a way of getting military out, because we were desperate trying to see how the military should just go, because we were not sure whether they want to really, continue to perpetuate themselves, given the IBB, postponement of, election. If you remember, that was the last, of the IBB, transition in his transition plan. So people like Jega that he was talking about, Jega is an academician. He has never come out to do protest to say, I'm supporting Abiola. No. But in principle, many activists, they do that because they were tired of the military dictatorship. So there's a difference between participating in the 1993 election of the MKO Abiola and people wanting to see that, okay, there should be justice and that the military should go. Many of the people who have supported that from many mass democratic organizations, including Women in Nigeria, Campaign for Democracy, and quite a number of the organizations that we belonged to at that time, they did that not because they were in support of Abiola or Bashir Topa. They did that just to get military out. It's part of the strategy. So even when he was making reference to Jega, that is not correct. At least I know Jega. Jega was my classroom teacher. I know him, and we were trained by many of them.
I think that clarification was extremely important. We have to thank you so much for coming on Sunrise Daily. We do not know how this is going to go at the Senate now that the public hearing has the screening has been done. I believe that the committee will do a report. But what do you think that will eventually come out of that particular committee?
In
30 seconds.
If the National Assembly want to respect the expression, the yearning and expression of Nigerian people, if the National Assembly are truly representative of the Nigerian people, Nigerian people have said that please and please let this woman, go back to the president. Let the president find a better things to appreciate her. But to be INEC commissioner, it will undermine the credibility of the 2023 election. So this is the position that we have taken. Like I said, Fix Nigeria Politics is out there to see how they can help to clear or to clean the mess in the Nigerian politics, and they are helping with all sorts of technical support to ensure that the Electoral Act itself, that the National Assembly have done their thing, which did not carry the aspiration and the demand.
Well, let's not jump to conclusions. They say, well, nothing has changed. At least the House has come out to categorically say that nothing has changed. We have to thank you so much for coming on Sunrise Early this morning, Mr. Awa Rafsujani. And we also have to thank Mr. Emmanuel Odunsi, who is the national president of Vanguard for Transparent Leadership and Democracy, who joined us via Zoom in Port Harcourt. Thank you so much for coming on Sunrise Early this morning. We'll take a break now. On another matter, please stay with us.
Yeah, we're talking security now, and but before that, we've got this news, this very interesting one. The kidnapped Nuhu Bamali Polytechnic students, remember them? They have been released, and yes, you see some of the images right there. So the students and the members of staff have been released. Well, if you do remember, sometime on the 10th of June, that attack occurred, and then that was the bandits did attack the main campus of that Nuhu Bamali Polytechnic Zaria in Kaduna State on Thursday night on the day. So they went there in their large numbers. At about 11 p.m., we were told 2 lecturers and 8 of those students, making up the 10 persons, were kidnapped at the time. And unfortunately, I think one student was confirmed dead, while one person was injured and several others kidnapped. But now, as we see there, they have been released. So we'll get you more information on that one as we get them. So that is the least gladdening story. It gladdens a lot of people's hearts as we see it there now. So let's get on to Mataya Sado. He joins us next from Kaduna as well. Some developments making the rounds there yesterday. Not very good to hear, actually. It was also concerning security. Well, as the country focuses on trying to improve a lot in security, Kaduna again in the news for this particular matter. So what is the mood in the town at the moment? You may need to unmute. Well, if you can hear me, we can't hear you actually. So could you check if you need to unmute yourself? There you go.
Hello, Chamberlain. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Okay, fine. It was my earpiece that probably was causing problem, but that's fine.
Okay.
So as regards to the happenings in Kaduna State and the nation at large, I think it has been something that people like me have spoken about consistently, that these problems have become these problems were created by failure of leadership in the past, and even the current system, nothing seems to have changed. And mostly, I see that we have tried to solve these problems from the head, not try to address the issues that are giving rise to the current challenges that we are facing as a nation. How do you explain a situation where the moment there is any need for people to gather on the streets to fight or to protest or to demonstrate, thousands of youths come out from nowhere and they occupy the streets? Do you know what it would be like if these young people were actively engaged in factories, working in construction sites, or working in different places? But how do you get such kind of thing? How do you have a situation where the country We have millions of young people roaming the streets of the country and without any means of survival. I mean, you expect that you're going to have peace where politicians in the same country are busy, living a life of luxury, where you have politicians who I would say have demonstrated a sense of irresponsibility in handling the challenges in the society. So really, if we are going to address these issues, thank God for the news that is coming out from Nuba Mali. But if you look at what is happening currently, they release people, they pick some another set, they pick another set, and this is becoming more like a drama in the country. And for people like us, it is becoming irritating that this cycle will continue to go on like this. People were sleeping in their houses in early hours of yesterday morning, and people came into their houses, broke the fence, broke the doors, broke the wall of the houses, and gained access to these people. Pick 15 people, women, were nursing mother. Look, these things are not. These are not the things that we want to be talking about as a country. These are not the things that we want to be talking about at this time. The situation in the country is worrisome. And believe you me, the way the system, the idea, the approach by the political class, as far as I'm concerned, is going to continue. If they want to continue in that dimension, in that direction, we're going to continue to have more and more of this. I'm not predicting doom, but this is the reality. We must address this issue right on from the position of leadership. The leadership of this country must take full responsibility, and we have to begin to look for immediate solutions, structures, and how to handle this problem. The current situation in the country, particularly in Kaduna, some of us cannot sleep. You cannot. I believe you me honestly. You don't want to go to bed before 3 a.m., before 4 a.m. in my area at the moment, because you just don't know what can happen. You have children, you have kids sleeping in their house, and you have to keep checking around. This early morning, I was trying to, just walking around the house, and my mother-in-law, who stays in the house, came out to check. Oh, who is there? This is how bad the situation is. So I really don't know how better to express how disgusted I am about the leadership, the failure of leadership in Nigeria today.
One of the things that's I find disturbing about all of this, Mr. Sado, is the fact that it always seems to catch us unawares. Insecurity is not strange to human history. It's always been there. But perhaps one of the challenges of modern history would be how these things happen without us knowing ahead and getting ahead of it. Most of the time we just seem to react. But one other thing, that one would want to ask is the reasons for the insecurity is really not unknown. Getting ahead of it, that is the challenge. Economic reasons mostly, the police has said over and over again. How do you see us getting ahead of these? Do you think the authorities are asleep on the wheels?
Oh, well, Ayo, thank you. Good question. I think like most of us know, that this repetition for a society where we claim to have security system, where we claim to have what they call the DSS, all those that are responsible for intelligence gathering and what have you. You have people who were kidnapped from School of Forestry. You had people who were kidnapped from Greenfield. You had people, most of them have been released, and you want to tell me that the security system in Nigeria have not been able to gather these young people to get information about. In fact, and just to, I think from my own point of view, the problem is not even about knowing whether how to get to these guys who are in the forest. It's not even about how to identify them or how to get information about their activities again. This event that occurred in Bethel School, I'm aware that the bandits wrote a letter to the school to inform them that they are coming. Look, Ayo, if they write a letter to you today that they are coming to you, what do you think you can do? If they write a letter to people in Sabo today and tell them that they are coming, what do you think the people in Sabo will do? If they write a letter to the people in Malta today and say they are coming, what do you think the people will do? Nothing. How do you do it? What can you do? Where is the police in the whole of Kaduna South here? How many police stations do we have? How many of them are equipped? How many policemen are well trained? How many of them can confront these problems? So it's not even. It is a situation where these guys are confrontational. They are beginning to challenge the Nigerian system.
Yeah, as we wind down this one, so could you tell us, I mean, yes, as you highlighted, maybe a lot more needs to be done, particularly empowering security agencies to do much more than they are currently doing. But what is when I spoke about the mood, I was trying to find out, what are groups, people doing? I know that the other day, youths protested blocking the Kaduna-Kachia road as a result of this kidnappings going on. But are the estates, the associations, the residents, the youth groups, are they pulling together to see whatever it is that they can do to share information and collaborate? Is that happening?
Well, you see, the situation is that people just, I think what happened yesterday was just a spontaneous act. People got tired of what is happening, and then they took to the streets to protest, to say, look, this cannot be allowed to continue. At the moment, I know of a woman, one of my personal assistants, whose cousin was kidnapped in Bethel, that all that they do at the moment is that they go to school, they go there to go and kneel down and pray. They go there to go and sit down, and they are hoping that some miracle could happen. The mood is, in fact, I was listening to a program on radio this morning, and people were really, really very sad because bandits, just to shock you, bandits asked that people who their children were kidnapped in Bethel should bring some food items. I'm aware that the school authorities sent 9 bags of rice to these guys, and it was rejected. Chamberlain, the thing is, it's not, see, the people are not finding it funny. I do not know if there are activities that are coordinated activities that are being planned by the people to take to personal self-defense, like the governor of Katsina State has advised, and that the Minister of Defense has also advised at some point. But really, even if we want to defend ourselves with words.
All right, we do thank you for your perspectives, and we'll keep hopping and trying to see what can be done, and encourage security agencies and prod the authorities to do a lot more. Thank you, and all the best.
Thank you very much.
Well. Yeah, so we're just going to delve into some of the messages that a lot of you have sent in to us. Already I see Shomdang saying, well, he talking about insecurity. He thinks that getting a solution to this insecurity challenge is that one of them he's suggesting is, I don't know how practicable this is, to build a fence from Sokoto to Borno with one entry point and one exit point. He says this will stop the issue of people crossing our border in and out at will. He says, look, this has to stop because it's not the present but the future that matters. That's Shom, who sent his message in from Jos.
You know, it reminds me of, I mean, you said fence, some will say wall.
Yeah.
You recall the wall.
The wall of
Great
Mexico.
wall.
that former President Trump wanted to build. You remember the cost? I mean, it's understandable, seeing the spate of attacks. You imagine that people will want a solution anyway. At least let's find a way around it. How practicable it is another thing entirely, but hey, Sean, thank you for that one.
Well, there's this mail from Henry Owononu on today's conversation. Says the law prohibits political party membership evidenced by name in the register and possession of membership card, but unfortunately not sympathy for the party. To eliminate biases in umpires in international sports competitions, as they are also human, organizers now recruit referees from non-participating nations or continents. President Buhari can do more to douse the destructive mounting tensions in the country.
Okay.
I'm not very clear on what order we're going with now, but we'll see quite a number of mails. I'm trying to see if the one that we will have on screen now will pop up. I don't know. Okay, let's take this one from AGK. It says, it says, dear all, there's a very important difference between legality and morality. Morality, in my opinion, is superior. Ms. Onoche may be legally qualified, but we all know her antecedents, and it's unwise to have her anywhere near the nation's electoral institution, at least not for now. There are other qualified persons more suitable for the role. We must eschew all perceptions of bias or undue advantage of one political party over another. That's from AGK.
It has this interesting analogy, if I could say, on Onoche's controversial nomination, saying that, well, she said she dropped her APC membership in the year 2019 and now non-partisan. Well, the question now is, a woman that married first husband and has children for the man, if she remarries and begets children for the new husband, will she disown her first husband's children or the children she had with the first husband? Not at all. Says, even if Loretta does not have APC card again, she still has passion for APC government. Please, she should step aside honorably.
Well, Victor O has this one. Much ado about an appointment. Why Loretta Onoche? Is she the most qualified? Is she the only available? Did she openly tell the world, especially on Twitter, where she operated vigorously, that she is no longer a member of the ruling party, APC? Why is the FG handpicking electoral officers in an organization that has independent as its first operational word? The above questions need answers. The last question, most especially, is pertinent because without looking into a crystal ball, it clearly shows 2023 elections will not be free and fair. The FG should withdraw that nomination. Okay.
I'm looking right now. I know that I saw one mail. I mean, I went through most of the mails, and right now it's very difficult to see which ones, because some of them had, sadly, I don't know, words that we cannot put on air. But there were some that really did make a very good argument. This is from Abdusalam Yusuf, who says, I wonder what makes it difficult for nominees or stakeholders to step down or resign in this country. If an overwhelming percentage of citizens don't support your nomination, it's more matured to step down to clear the air. That is from Abdusalam Yusuf.
Well, Ayodele says it is insensitivity on the part of government to have nominated her. Whether she is still a member of APC or not, insofar as she's worked and participated in APC's political activities, she should not be a part of the electoral team. Is there no other person that can represent the state? Must she be everywhere?
Well, Odwen says, I wish this discussion was extended to state electoral bodies. Some present and former commissioners are already aspirants for the 2023 elections. Otto Nahire sends him that one.
So it means we need to have a look at that as well.
Oh, yes. It starts from, in fact, maybe local government, states, and then INA, because that's where you have government represented. So if one fails, imagine what happens at the next level.
So especially we're at a time when people are saying the CX, the State Independent Electoral Commissions, need to be looked closer into. Yeah. And now this.
Well, perhaps that conversation about strengthening those electoral bodies at the federal level and at the state level. And besides, this transmission of results that we're talking about, it's not just at the federal level. I hope they know that. It has to be the same thing at the state level, such that transmission of results has got to be seamless and smooth. We don't need all that humongous impediment of coalition center and goodness me. Once we're going to address that, all this overnight collation of results, I think you'll be able to address a lot of issues. Look, this 21st century, times have changed. What is it that we're collating that we have to take several days to collate, and you even see the calculations openly on TV, not getting it right, and we still want to stick with that. Who knows? But I see this one coming through from Afiz Adeyemi from Abuja, says, about insecurity. He thinks we've had a lot of complaint without results. I think it's high time all the governors, including His Excellency Governor El Rufai, to sponsor an urgent bill to State Assembly, giving a death sentence to anyone found guilty of kidnapping. I'm sure this will go a long way to reduce kidnapping in Nigeria. But remember, some states still have it. But the challenge is, some governors have not just been able to sign the death warrants at the end of the day, and so we're stuck with that. And several countries are trying to move countries away from signing death penalty, because they argue in those countries where the death penalty subsists, what kind of impact has it had on such crime or any at all? Who knows?
This is a very interesting coincidence, because just earlier this morning I was reading a scripture that prescribed death for kidnapping. And I thought, really? I'm serious. So, when you said that caught my attention, because looking at the spate of kidnapping in Kaduna, Monday to Wednesday, we've had over 120 people kidnapped. And, kidnapping is never a good thing, really. We could talk about the psychological effect, the trauma. And it takes me to this mail from Timi Afolabi saying that, why is it that when the activities of bandits, killer herdsmen, and Boko Haram are mentioned, our military and security operatives are said to be overwhelmed? But the same military security operatives are not overwhelmed when mentions the IPOB and ordinary protesters are concerned. So, question from Louis Afolabi.
There are so many issues around these things. The one simple solution, one simple issue around this, the NGF has said it, governors in most of the states, where this insecurity have persisted have said it, and that's the fact that unemployment, poverty.
Yeah, let me read this mail. It buttresses that point. Okay. It comes through from Bamidele Kingsley. He says, you can never solve the problem of insecurity without addressing the issues of unemployment,
exactly,
poverty, income inequality, homelessness. If an idle hand is called the devil's workshop, then you must be ready to contend with lots of devil's companies with millions of idle hands.
I think if we are really serious about dealing with this issue, the issue of poverty in the Northwest, in the Northeast in particular, is not new. I think as far back as the 90s, I had the privilege of being in Kaduna, on a professional trip. And I saw it was those days where, was it in the 90s, or I think it was in the 90s or maybe the 2000s, fuel was being dispensed openly in kegs. It wasn't a case of fuel scarcity. Fuel was being dispensed openly in kegs along the streets of Maiduguri. Back, I don't even know how many years back now. And that's been on for so long. And that could only spell one thing. And that is, the level of poverty that has been in the North for many, many years. We've heard comments of several dignitaries traditional rulers and all of that, and then they know all of these things are happening. Someone has to listen to them, and we need to be able to do something about it. It's not just the rhetoric of we're going to pull 100 million Nigerians out of poverty. We need to see activities being engineered to the effect on a constant, consistent, and practical basis. Otherwise, it doesn't change. Okay.
Well, I guess that's how we'll have to leave it. I mean, I'm going through the mails. I'm just enjoying reading the mails. I wish we would just have a day where we would just go through mails. I mean, for an entire segment, because I think it's very important that, you know, your voice is heard. It's your opinion, and your opinion also does matter. Thank you so much for always sending in those mails. Thank you for always being a part of this program. I'm sure that the producers will look into my suggestion, and who knows what can come out of it. Thank you for watching. We wish you a very splendid weekend. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
I'm Kayode Okikule. And I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful weekend.
I'm Train Bellinusol. Goodbye.